Are you a solopreneur looking to 2 times your revenue to fund your lifestyle and give back? Well, this podcast is for you. We bring you inspirational guests sharing actionable tips to solve many of the struggles you face each and every day. And now over to your host, Paul Higgins.
Hello to the Build, Live, Give Solo podcast. If you're a first-time listener, welcome. And if you're a regular, thanks for your support. Love to get your feedback at paul@buildlivegive.com. So a little summary of my week this week. I've actually been in the process of selling one of my businesses, which has been a lot of work, but hopefully very rewarding at the end. I've also been heavily involved in launching my book and getting ready for the paperback and also the audio book to come out. And I've also been on a bit of a road trip with some of my old friends, and I'm very glad I survived that. So today's topic is high-performing teams. And what you're going to learn is the 5 key elements of what I think forms a great high-performing team. So the first is culture and engagement. The second is team development. Third is team systems. Next is project management. And the last one, the fifth, is automations. All the links to these will be in the show notes at buildlivegive.com/podcast. So, I work with a lot of solopreneurs, and many don't want full-time employees in a team. And I completely get it, especially if you come from a previous job, you don't want it. However, you do need to have some remote teams and experts. You need to remove all of those hats you wear in your business. And, you've really got to decide whether you want a job or a business. And I always recommend start with a VA internally first. And if you want names of great providers, just email me at paul@buildlivegive.com. Also, then you move on to externals. So, content writers, web developers, designers, etc. All the things that, you either don't love doing, you're not skilled enough to do, you can get other people to do that. And many people really struggle to pick the right people. So that's one of the biggest challenges they have. And then it's the ability to let go. And finally, the ability to motivate them. So in my book, I go into the detail of these 5 elements that I'm going to go through now. And I really take all the learnings from working at the Coca-Cola company for 18 years, which was one of the biggest employers in the world, and also working with hundreds of solopreneurs going through this journey. And I also ran my own outsourcing business, and of course, I continue to run my business, or maybe by the time this goes live, I won't have that second business. I'll only have this one. So the first one is culture and engagement. So it's really important to get the culture and engagement right, especially when they're not your direct employees. It's actually harder to motivate people when they're not your direct employees. So what I've got is 8 key elements. And what I'll do is quickly go through these, and you can obviously get more detail in the book. But the first one is your guiding principles. Second is stories that you tell. Third is value and behaviors. Next is symbols. Then team, routines and rituals. And then the last one is around leadership. And as I said, you can get more details just at buildlivegive.com/book, where I go into a lot more detail on those. And the other part is the engagement. And I think it's really clear to spell out your why, but also measure engagement. And once again, in the book, I mentioned some great tools. So the next one is team development. And there's 5 elements here. So one is above and below the line coaching. So above the line is the things that you influence. Below the line is what your team can influence. So I think that's really important to look at both. Don't just look at your team. Look at what you can do to improve it. Then there's IDPs, individual development plans. It's a bit tricky to say, but that is where you spend a half an hour once a month working on people's strengths. And that's the next thing. It's like, what are the key strengths that you can develop rather than trying to change things that people aren't good at? And there's a lot of great information out there about strength-based coaching. Then have monthly meetings, or a town hall as it used to be called in the old days, to update everyone. And then linking all this to it is the training. And what I believe is in the 70-20-10 rule. So 70% on job, 20% within the company. So it might buddy up 2 team members or 2 experts. And 10% is external, where you get an external provider, course, external provider, etc. Next is team systems, so number 3. And I think, the systems that you implement really help to reduce the labour as a percentage of revenue. It's a key measure we used to look at the Coke company. And if you want some help on this, just email me and I'll be able to help. the next is also setting up some great SOPs. And I know most business owners go to sleep when they hear that word, but I think there's an easy way of doing it, and we can certainly show you that. And once again, I go through that in the book. 4 is project management. So the key thing here is pick the right platform. I don't care which one. We use Asana, but there's so many great platforms out there. But I think it's really important, especially if you want to tap into external remote people living around the world. I think it's so important, and it's easy to do from your mobile phone. And then the next one is have a dedicated project manager. So I've got a business manager that, part of her job is to manage the projects, not do the projects. And I think that is so important, a big skill that I learned at Coca-Cola. The 5th is automations. So what I talk about here is sort of the next level from systems. So it's fine to have great systems in, but if they don't talk to each other, it's really hard to maximize the benefit. So I recommend that you actually do have them talk to each other. And the great thing here is you're de-risking bringing on new team members because you're actually getting a lot of value out of the systems automatically setting tasks as an example. And what I highly recommend here is get an expert. So this podcast went a little bit longer than my normal 5 minutes, but there was a lot to cover in this because team are so essential to your growth and also the ability to fund your lifestyle. So 3 key actions from today. 1 is make a decision whether you want to run a job or a business. The 2nd is take 1 action from each of the 5 elements. And the 3rd one is please go download the book for more detail. Once again, that's buildlivegive.com/book, and all proceeds of that are going to a charity called the Purple House. You can get all the show notes at buildlivegive.com/podcast, and I'd love to get your feedback on this shorter format, even though this one's a bit longer this week. And I'd also love to know the topics you would like me to cover in the future, because I've just covered the 5 rapid growth drivers, but now I'm going to be going into random topics. So email me at paul@buildlivegive.com. I will reward each person that emails me with a free strategy call valued up to $499 USD. Please take action to build new revenue streams to fund your lifestyle and give back.
Thank you for listening to the Build, Live, Give podcast. If you like what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review. It would mean the world to us.